Welcome back to Mortgage Daddies. Today we have two attorneys that we work a lot with that are local in the area, Mike and Patti Couto from SKM. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Pretty good.
Thank you for having us.
You guys got a lot of podcasts going today, huh?
Yeah.
One to another.
It's like doing the stump speech.
I'm Vernon. I run the top mortgage brokerage in Massachusetts with over 20 years of experience.
I'm Craig. I've done $100 million consistently since my second full year in the business, and I'm Massachusetts' top mortgage broker. We're the Mortgage Daddies, with real advice, real stories, and real results.
Let's get going.
It's like the end of the month for you guys, just nonstop.
Yeah, all day long.
I feel like this month
Podcast
has
closing.
flown by.
Really is. Next month we're looking at 15 business days the way Thanksgiving falls. So October's compressed. November will be pretty tight as well.
Yeah, it's always crazy trying to get everything closed before Thanksgiving. And then everybody wants to close the day before Thanksgiving and nobody wants to work that day.
Yeah.
Doesn't the registry close like half a day on that day? Or is that just what attorneys tell me because they don't want to work in the afternoon?
Part of that might be true, but
Patty's like, it's actually closed that day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough thing for us because our staff works hard all year long. And, to have to say, hey, the day after Thanksgiving, we have to come in is difficult.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
we're in the business of putting people in the houses and Thanksgiving is always the day after. And then, unfortunately, this year Christmas falls the same way. So, it's difficult to, ask people to come in, but, everyone understands.
Yeah.
People want to be in their houses for the holidays, and that's what we sign up for.
so safe to say our offices will be open.
Yeah,
over
it's tough.
Thanksgiving.
I mean, I feel like the realtors and the clients, like they don't understand the business day side of it. They look at, oh, well, if I put my offer in on the 10th, I want to close 30 days later on the 10th. But how many business days were in between that?
Right.
Plus, you're putting your offer in on the 10th doesn't mean it's accepted on the 10th. You're looking at losing 3, 4, 5 days before any of us even get any of it to start working on.
Agreed, and to that point, COVID compressed the timelines. When, before COVID, we would typically, hear from our gatekeepers, the real estate agents who refer our stuff and good brokers like yourselves to say, hey, we have a 30-day closing. Can you handle that timeline? What happened after COVID is that the timelines compressed. So agents, during kind of the slowdown, we needed deals. And so it wasn't like, can you do this? It would be like, hey, we've signed an offer up on Saturday with a 2-week closing and let's play ball. So the timelines have definitely compressed on that, which I think is good.
I think even from not just COVID, but the technology piece of things has really sped everything up. I think our average clear to close is like 14.7 days right now, which is insane compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago when you get contracts for 30. 30 days was a rush back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
45 days was like the norm. Now it's like, you got a 20. I tell my team, give me a 21-day contract. 30 is great, but 21, if the real estate agent can deliver it, we'll get it closed.
Yeah, and really, non-depository lenders like yourselves really drive the technology in this business. All of the kind of the electronic mortgage applications and the electronic underwriting and all the things that your customers are offered by you to make the mortgage experience better. The automatic bridges between checking accounts and credit scores and all that is all developed by non-depository lending, like your fine company, and then the other banks, kind of follow the lead, but all the investment is done from people like you guys.
It's definitely sped things up a lot. I mean, I remember even 6 years ago when I got into this business, we didn't even have an online application. It was paper. Used to have people come in and sign all their initial docs. So there was, well, if they're working or they can't come in for a few days, now it's like, hey, you got it in 2 seconds. I need you to sign it so we can get moving on it, especially if it's a rush, which really helps speed things up. But
I mean, Craig just likes to make fun of me because I'm still a dinosaur. So anybody out there, I'm still taking paper applications like 80% of the time, and I still get made fun of for doing so. But it's all good.
It does make things easier, in my opinion, a little bit when you do, because you get to hear the whole story. You get to find out what's going on a little bit better than if you're just looking at an online application and you're like, hope all this lines up. Like you can tell when someone's like unsure of their work history when you're talking to them.
Right.
Like, hey, where'd you work before here? Well, I think here from this time. But if you look at an application, it just has dates on it and you're like assuming it's correct. And then send it to underwriting. They're like, yeah, none of this lines up. You're like, oh, great. Here we go.
That's not
Yeah.
hope we can figure this out.
You like, you've been around for a while, and then I never want to be the guy that says, well, I've been doing it for this long and I know everything. Or even confessing how long you've been doing it. But, I remember when the number of closings you had that day depended on how many were on the FedEx truck, because documents were delivered by Federal Express. And every morning you open the door and there would be, your 15 or whatever packages. And if that package wasn't there, it wasn't closing.
Oh.
So the compression of the timeline and just the ease in which we do business now is amazing. That you can clear a loan this fast and get the loan underwritten and then get us the electronic package, and then we do what we got to do to put it together. It's really fascinating. And what do we talk about now, right? Talking about AI, like what is it going to look like, with, the compression even shorter and more tools to use. I mean, it's exciting. It's not scary. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I think my favorite are the e-sign packages because it just makes closings so much quicker and that much easier. And I think, for borrowers, it takes away a lot of like the nervousness about the day of closing because they're able to like see, their documents ahead of time as opposed to seeing like a 400-page stack. So,
Get ready to sign.
Yeah.
And you guys can close anywhere really now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you even close at the registry anymore?
Never.
Yeah. And that's another result of the COVID period. We used to have these giant meetings and, we'd have the buyer and the seller and, we'd be talking about the garage door opener and sometimes if the closing was contentious, that would be difficult. And everybody wants to know where it is. And COVID just kind of took that away, which, now we get a collateral package from the seller side and we really do it at the convenience of the buyer. And it's much easier and really much more efficient and just a better experience for everybody, including us.
Yeah, for sure.
I love people. Patti loves people, but sitting at a table flipping 80 documents is not
10 times a day.
Is not a good use of our time.
Yeah.
It's just really not.
Absolutely. Now, how'd you guys get into this exactly? I mean, you guys are both attorneys. You could do just about anything. What led you guys to want to do real estate?
Go first.
I'll go first. Yeah. So it's a funny story because I never wanted to do real estate. I don't even think you know this, but in law school, so I mean, I've always been a straight A student. I was on the National Honor Society in high school.
Same.
Same with me.
That's how we that's how we end up as loan officers, not attorneys.
Right. And so when I went to law school, it was obviously a little bit of a rude awakening. So I had a teacher for real estate, and he was just not the nicest. And he was one of those teachers that would like take points away if you had too much information. So I got a D. I got my first D ever. And I remember I came home, I was like crying, obviously beside myself. And I like went to my parents and I'm like, I will never do real estate. I don't know who would ever do this. This is so dumb. I'm never going to do this ever. And so I graduated law school and then I ended up at like a general practice law firm. And I started doing personal injury, medical malpractice. And then after about a year, one of the partners who was in the real estate section, he left to go open up his own practice. And so, the rest of the partners were like, well, we need somebody in real estate. And they were like, and it's going to be you. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it.
I got a D in that.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think I'm going to make it. And they were just like, well, you don't have a choice. So I just kind of got forced into it. And then I just grew to love it. I love, working with the people. And I love the closing part of it. I like the actual signing and not just sitting behind a computer. So,
Patti, this business sucks you in.
I know.
No one ever said, I can't wait to grow up and be a mortgage broker or be a real estate attorney. Like, it never happens. And then once you get your toe in there, golfed. You do.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
You can't
and
get
I
out.
never looked back, and then I never did anything else besides real estate.
Cannot get out.
Yeah.
I've thought about opening landscaping companies, anything, restaurants. Can't do it.
That's what you were doing before, right?
Yeah. So, I think it's, very telling, most of the folks that are in our line of work, whether it's the attorneys or real estate agents, everybody's got a story to tell. We didn't start off in the mortgage business or the real estate business rather, but, the common thread is most of us have started in the customer service business. Me for one, my training was with a caterer in Baltimore, and I worked for as a really young guy for almost 10 years through college, and I learned about customer service. I did weddings before I knew what a wedding was. I thought I knew what a wedding was until my wife explained to me what a wedding was and what that was all about. Been to thousands of them. But the common thread for me is that, I love to serve people. And, and when you love it, like Patti didn't say she liked it, and you guys, don't say that you like it. We love it. We love the pressure. We love the timelines. We love being right for people. And so my background was that. It was catering. I owned a restaurant in Baltimore. I have an identical twin brother. And so if my Baltimore accent is alive and well, that's because I just saw him this weekend. But, it's one thing to say that you give good service. It's one thing to say that, your team gives good service. But it's a whole nother thing to execute. It's the return phone calls. It's the calling and checking on the client in the middle of the process. It's trying to put yourself in the client's position. This is daunting. We do it every day, but, people don't do that. So, we like to be around people that love this, because then it's not, it's not a problem solving business. It's something that, everybody wants to be a part of. And so for me, that's kind of how I got started. But, I wake up every day and worry about my customers and want to get, their dreams realized. And that's to own a house. Nothing better.
I think you have to really love what you do for you not to burn out after a certain amount of time in any business. When I was a firefighter, I saw it. When I got into it, I loved it. I was like, this is the best job ever. How do people not love this? And then I would talk to guys that had been on the job for 20, 25, 30 years, and they're miserable.
Yep.
They hate everybody. They hate every call that comes in. Something really crazy happens, everybody kind of perks up. But like the normal things of, grandma's back pain for 2 weeks. Oh, they're all pissed off. They're not that nice to her. I'm like, how are you not nice to her? But as I got into it more, my love for that kind of died off. I was never super into it like some of the guys were. And I'm like, I don't think this is for me forever. Like I was getting real tired of it. And you see that in our business a lot, where some people don't have that bedside manner, a little bit different. Yeah. Obviously you're not bedside, but the bedside manner side of it, just being nice to people, the kindness that you have goes a long way in this business. And if you're burnt out and you don't love what you do, it's very difficult to put that face on and show that kindness that people want. At a closing, I've been I get calls after, hey, this attorney's an asshole. I'm like, what? You went to sign papers to buy a house? Like, what happened? Like, right. how does this even happen? Like, the whole transaction was awesome, but they went to some random attorney and they're pissed off that they're on their 15th closing of the day. They just drove 300 miles that day. They're mad. They're asked one question and the guy flips out. And it's not just like any business. I mean, you have to really love what you do and understand that this is a big deal for these people, whether you don't think it is or not. Like, you have to have that compassion for people. Otherwise, you got to go find something else. You got to go work behind a computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
I think it's really easy for people to lose their spark after doing it for so long, right? When you're behind the computer, it's easy for it to just become another number or another loan. So I think that's, the most important part is being at the closing and seeing the people, because a lot of times people don't meet their attorneys until the closing day, and by putting yourself in your client's shoes, I think it helps with being more compassionate. For me, my favorite kind of clients are the first time home buyers that are like immigrants that have just come here, because I relate to it a lot, right? Like my family were also immigrants. So I feel for those clients. I give extra attention to those people. And it's just something that I'm passionate about. So I think that by having that commonality with the clients that you have, that it helps kind of maintain that spark,
I almost just look at it as, I love what we do. I'm passionate about it. And it's not like, me and Craig talk about this, it's not even like we come to work. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm not like, shit, I have to go to the office today and deal with these people, or a first-time home buyer and application. It's like, I'm excited to go to the office. Not that I dislike my family or I don't want to see my kids or drop them off, but I'm excited to go to work every single day. And you can start seeing it on loan officers or real estate or attorneys, anybody who's been in here. You get beat up. I look at it as they're just having a bad day. Like,
right.
How often are we getting yelled at? Or somebody's just not happy and you're like, take a deep breath. If you were in front of me, I'd probably thunder punch you right in the chest, knock the wind out of you. But I'm going to take a deep breath because I've already been down this road, right? And until you put yourself in their position, like you were saying, put yourself in their position. They've never done this before, and their closing disclosure came out $1,300 more than they were expecting. Not really a big deal in the business when you're buying a $600,000 house. The numbers are off by $1,000. Could be some taxes. But did you explain that to them? Did you go over that piece with them? I think that's the disconnect between like the great loan officers and the good loan officers, or the agents. It's the ones who take that extra time to explain out and put yourself in their position, because they've never done it. Every single time I've bought a house, I turn into a first-time home buyer. Like, I'm more worried about my loan, like something going on, and I do this for 20 plus years. Like, oh my God, I hope my wife's credit's okay. I hope, did we make any large deposits? And I'm already thinking about this because I do it, but I think you just have to go back into that client's mindset. This is the biggest day of their lives. Like, I don't think everybody in the transaction realizes this is their Super Bowl. This is the biggest thing that's happened to them in the last couple of years, right? And we, what do you close? 25 loans a month? Like, Craig's doing 300 of these closings a year. It's not a Super Bowl every single time.
I forget often about the title of attorney. I forget it often. I just don't, I don't really, think about that role, that title. And most folks, look at, attorneys, I think sometimes, who don't have experience with attorneys on a regular basis and think that, we're different, and there's attorneys that are good, and there's attorneys that are no good, and there's attorneys that are prepared, and there's attorneys that aren't, and there's attorneys that give good service, and there's attorneys that don't. And the common thread with me and Patti, I never have to worry about Patti's love for her clients and her caring for her clients. And that's what, I try to set the example of. And it's easy for me because I, like you, I wake up in the morning and I'm thankful for, everything I have, including the house that I live in. And, to your point, all my expertise and experience went out the window when I bought a house. My brain turned into mush. And then when you see that and you remember, say, okay, this is a big deal for anybody, and it resonates. First time home buyers, the people who are buying, houses after house, and the price point doesn't matter. It is an important piece of your life when you come home and you're shut that door and you're in your sanctuary, safe and sound, away from all of the stuff that, people contend with today, the political climate, all this. And that's what really resonates for me. And I try to remember that we're getting rooms for little kids, and we're getting, kitchens where people sit around and have meals. And, when you were fighting fires, that's that's a service that is not really recognized often. And our service to an extent isn't, do people call us and, thank you sometimes, and that's great. But I know we perform an important service, and I know that you perform an important service. Getting people the wealth to buy an asset is extremely important.
Yeah, and you don't get that. It's great when you do, because you don't get a lot of that in this business.
Yeah.
No.
Especially on yours, I would say it tears off at every level. Like the realtor gets a lot, probably a lot of the credit. They went with the house. They spent the most amount of time physically with the client. Then the loan officers, like I have some clients that love me. They thank me. They, reach out to me all the time. Other ones that, really couldn't care less, whether you helped them a ton and you made something happen that never would have happened, or you taught them everything they needed to know and you did everything you possibly could. They couldn't care less. Hey, it is what it is. You got to move on. And then for you guys, you spend the least amount of time with the client, but you do a lot of work on the back end to protect them and to help them and to make sure that the money's correct, to make sure that they're protected with title, to make sure that everything's where it needs to be. And you're in and out. And most of the time, most of the clients don't remember the attorney on who they closed with. I know I didn't on my first house. I did my first house with him when I was a firefighter. And I don't remember the attorney either. I didn't know who the attorney was until I was looking at him. I think we were moving and I found the closing package in my house and it was Sherman Law. And I was like, and now I knew Tim, because then you remember people. But like, you could have paid me $1 million. I wouldn't have been able to tell you who closed the deal on my house. Yeah. I had no idea. You know what I mean? But because it was a good experience. I saw something the other day. It's like, for every good comment somebody says or whatever, out of like 300, you remember one. But, every time that somebody says something negative, it lasts with you for so much longer, and it's like those clients that for whatever reason, they weren't happy. It didn't go well. Those are the ones that sit with you. Those are the ones that you remember. The ones that went smooth, you don't remember them as much, right? So the client doesn't remember you as much because it went smooth. If it went bad, they're going to remember you. And they're going to go tell 100 people, that it went bad for whatever reason. And, that's what's, and then I think in this business, it's like personalities, figuring out what people's personalities are and how to deal with those personalities. There's people that when they get stressed or they don't understand something, instead of just saying, hey, I don't understand this, can you explain this to me? They get aggressive back at you. That's easy to deal with, but not everybody can deal with that. So when you meet aggression with aggression, it blows up and it's a bad experience for everybody.
That never happens around here. Yeah. I'm like, let me have Craig Snow call you because this isn't going to go well if I keep this up. Patti, talking about, the transaction and the attorney being kind of the last spoke in the wheel. Let's talk about and educate the audience a little bit on title insurance, right? When I was really originating a lot, there'd be questions. Do I really need an owner's policy? What is this lender's policy? And the importance of that. And I will say this, the clients that I always hear back from who are asking who the closing attorney was, it's because they have a title problem and they might not have bought an owner's policy. Can you just shed some light on the importance of an owner's policy, what it is, and the benefits?
Sure. So two things. So there's an owner's policy and a lender's policy, right? So anytime a borrower gets a loan, they purchase the lender's policy. It's a requirement. The owner's policy is not required, but it's recommended. And we rarely have borrowers, almost never, have borrowers not purchase the title insurance at the closing. So the lender's policy only protects the lender for the loan amount. And I feel like a lot of borrowers don't understand that when they're getting these loan estimates and they see all these numbers and they see this title insurance, they think that whatever insurance that they're getting is going to protect them no matter what. But the owner's title insurance is what protects them against any issues, related to the title.
Let me ask you a question because you said a key word there. A lender's policy covers the lender for the loan amount. So let's just take, for example, you come from an immigrant family. I'm willing to bet your parents' house is paid off, right? Their goal is to pay off that house and as fast as possible. When that loan is paid off and you owe the bank $0, what happens to that lender's policy? It's gone.
It's gone, yeah.
And too many times borrowers and buyers think that policy covers them. Is that the case, or they need to have that other policy?
Right. So it's not the case at all. The lender's policy does not protect a borrower at all. The owner's policy is what's really going to protect them in the event that anything comes up prior to their ownership, any sort of disputes, encroachments, or anything like that. And while there is a cost associated with it, it's a one-time premium that you're paying at the closing. You never have to worry about it ever again, no matter how many times you refinance or anything like that. For as long as you live in that home, whether it's a primary residence or not, that policy is going to be what protects you.
You don't have to talk to me about insurance. I buy insurance on my airplane tickets, my car tires. If the salesperson's like, oh, you want insurance on that? I'm like, sign me up. Because as soon as I say no, I'm driving off the lot and I'm going to smash the tire into a curb. So sign me up.
What type of, I guess, I always had heard this and, tell people, yes, you should get it. It protects you. It protects you from any issues. What are those type of issues that actually can come up?
Yeah. So let me just go back to the lender policy a second, because two good points were raised. As the loan is paid off, the amount of money, the coverage from the lender's policy transfers to the owner. So if you buy a property with a loan of $250 and a purchase price of $400, you have $150 in owner's insurance, and the lender has $250,000. And so as you pay that loan down, that insurance coverage goes to you because you now have more equity in the home. The reason for the lender's policy is so that the lender can sell the loans on the secondary market. So that, and again, this is for a whole nother podcast, right? But, title insurance makes the world go round. It in America, that when a lender lends money, they don't have to worry about, doing a background check on Patti and I. Well, we have credentials to be able to write title insurance. That's the vetting. But the lender knows that when they lend money and there's a title insurance product behind that, they have a guarantee that whoever did the title work, whoever made the title opinion, whoever processed the work, it doesn't matter. They're covered. Okay. And the borrower pays that as a cost of getting the loan. The owner's coverage, you typically, when people ask attorneys, well, why do you buy title insurance? A lot of the times they say, well, if there's a missing heir or, a fraudulent deed and all that stuff. It very rarely happens that somebody knocks on the door and says, get out, this is my property. What happens is this. When we close a loan, we do a title search and we give a title opinion. And that title doesn't get looked at again until one of two times. If they refinance and it's a very short look, it's not a long look, or when they sell. And when they sell, another attorney or title professional looks at that and says, here's the story. And if the story isn't good, then you have an insurance product to insure you. And so, so the value of title insurance is twofold. One is it lets you enjoy your property and you can count on that when you buy it, you own it. And if you don't, you're going to be compensated for it. And it also ensures that when you go to sell it, you can. Because to your point, when you go to sell your house and you are now made aware of a title defect, you have two resources to recover. That's coming to the attorney. If they, and I don't know if you can look at me, but and tell that I'm a lot closer to the end of my career than the beginning. If the attorney is not there, and you've lived in your house for 25, 30 years or whatever, that's problematic. But you have a title insurance policy. It's like a car accident. You call up and they have a duty to defend you, transfer your house, mitigate your damages, and use litigation to quiet the title if there's a problem. That's the value of title insurance. It's legal insurance. And when you look at the premium and you can insure a major asset for a little bit of money, it's a value. It's hard to explain it because it's not sexy and it takes long. The final point is that title insurance is the only insurance that insures for stuff that's already happened. Not like fire insurance. Your house is going to burn down, God forbid, you got insurance. Title insurance insures for what has already happened and what could have been missed. So people tell me all the time, well, you did a title search. Why do I need title insurance? And then I get into, here's why. I buy it when and I recommend it. And to Patti's point, it's not required. But the price of admission on a quiet title action, if you don't have a policy, is $25,000. And I saw this happen once where somebody didn't buy title insurance. There was a trust. The successor trustee wasn't named properly. And this person could not sell her house because she didn't have a title insurance policy. So what we did is we took it on and we helped her. We helped her quiet the title. And that took a long process. And ultimately she was able to sell the house. So it's tough to sell because it's not sexy, but we really believe in it. We see it happen all the time.
You need it.
You need it, period.
I look at it, it's like on average now with homeowners insurance, like going up, it's probably the cost of 1 year's worth of homeowners insurance, and you have it for as long as you have that house.
Yeah,
right.
Especially when more people are putting bigger down payments down.
Yeah, covers the equity.
It's all like, and I say stuff like this because I want people to understand. I'm not trying to sell them something. We have a financial interest in title insurance. We make commission off of it. That's disclosed to the client. If we didn't make commission off of title insurance, our closings would be more expensive. Like, it costs a certain amount of money to do this. But, I say to people, would you put your money in a bank that's not insured? Of course not. When's the last time you seen a fire? A real live fire? Seen them on TV. When's the last time you saw a fire? A real fire? Does that mean you don't buy fire insurance? Mm-hmm. And then, you sell it. But I believe in the product. It's a good product. And we're one of the few countries that have it where companies can put skyscrapers on property and buy giant title insurance policies to protect that investment. It's a very unsung hero in how our housing economy works.
Well, that was a fun conversation about title. So on a side note, what do you guys do for fun? What are you guys hobbies? I know you're out doing spin classes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you guys like to do for fun.
Yeah. So when I'm not working or at my desk or in closings, I teach a spin class on the side that I love. I've been doing it for about 6 years. And it's really kind of like, for me, it's like the one place that I can just go to just shut everything out. Like I can't focus on anything else besides what I'm doing in that moment, right? Because the music is so loud. Like, I'm instructing clients on, how to move and the choreography and everything like that. And you really have to focus on what you're doing. So for me, that's what I love to do just because it relieves stress and for me, it's fun. So that I spend time with my son and I try to travel every once in a while, but
it's tough.
Yeah.
The end of the month this year and it's busy as it has been the last couple of months.
Yeah.
How about you, Big Mike?
That's a tough question. Man, I love the questions about title, but that's a tough one. From the minute we get some snow on the ground to the, minute it falls, I love to ski. Absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I love the cold. I love the way it makes me feel. I love it. When it's not snowing, I try to occupy my time until it is. And I spend a lot of time with my kids. My kids are younger. So I do that quite often. So, I've had to learn about Taylor Swift. I'm a Taylor Swift expert. My 11-year-old daughter made me a Taylor Swift expert. And, and my two sons, bring me in on, I'm a music expert due to my 15-year-old son who loves, different genres of music. And my oldest son, makes me an expert on whatever he wants to talk about. So it's awesome. All consuming with the kids is, how that can be.
Skiing, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, what a combination.
I love it. My 11-year-old daughter's not into Taylor Swift yet.
Mine is.
Kind of gone back and forth.
She doesn't like her new album, she said.
My 6-year-old is into the K-pop Demon Hunters. Have you heard of that?
Sounds terrible.
It's a new
It's wild.
Netflix movie about Korean pop stars.
Oh, God.
And the music is extremely catchy. So
I think it's like the number one thing going on right now.
That's guaranteed. That's what everyone is going to be for Halloween, for sure.
That hasn't hit my house yet.
Be thankful.
Oh, it has.
Be thankful.
You just don't know it. Like my daughter hasn't like been blasting it, but it's been playing.
Owen just wants, my 6-year-old, he just turned 6 on Sunday. He just wants to be Sonic, like legitimately Sonic. So
he acts like it too.
Yeah, he goes, I just wish I was Sonic. At least 15 times a day he says that. So we haven't hit the K-pop thing or whatever that is, but Sonic
Consider yourself lucky.
Yeah.
Is well, he got a bunch of toys for his birthday, and almost every single one was a Sonic toy. And then we went to my other son's basketball practice, and one of our friends, they also have a kid Owen's age. We were there watching the practice, and her name's Gina, and Gina's like, hey, Owen, I got you a birthday present. You know, if you come to Austin's game tomorrow, I'll bring it. He goes, is it a Sonic toy? And she goes, well, Mommy said that, you know, you got a lot of Sonic toys, so I figured I'd get something else. He goes, I didn't. She lied. She lied. I didn't get a lot of Sonic toys. Can you get me a Sonic toy? So I'm pretty sure she went and returned what she bought him and got him another Sonic toy because he didn't let that die. He went after for the entire hour practice at her. Just utter disappointment that he didn't get another Sonic toy.
Yeah. Well, got that tenacity from you.
Yeah. No, he gets fixed on something. He doesn't stop. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast today. We really appreciate it, and got some good expertise on title insurance. And
yeah, I think it's important. You know, I really honestly don't think a lot of people understand it at all. You know, most of the people, if they even ask, 80% don't even ask what it is. The other 10% ask, and they just take the answer of, hey, it's something to protect you. Okay, yep, sounds good. Because it's not super expensive to get it, really, at the end of the day. And then you get 10% that probably make the question actually to you guys, you know, because if people get past that point, we direct them to you guys and then they get their question answered. But, you know, I don't think people really ever get a full understanding of what it protects and the problems that can come up when you want to go sell the house. You know, we don't see too many of them. Every once in a while, though, it really sucks when everybody's ready to go and there's a title issue on the seller's side and it's holding up the entire closing.
Yeah, we see it. You know, we're in the front row seat, you know, so we see it. You know, there is not a week that goes by that we're not wondering, you know, did a seller buy title insurance and we need the policy because there's a defect one way or another. Post-policy fraud now is something that's big, and we'll do another podcast if you if you'd be gracious enough to have us back. But you know, we love what we do, obviously, and we love partners that we trust. And, you know, we know that, you know, that you are working hard for your clients and your expertise and your credibility and all that stuff. And, you know, when the client has that combination of, you know, a banker and a lawyer and a real estate professional, and everybody is interested and cares about that particular client, it's a win.
Yeah.
And we have that with you guys. And we know that you feel that about us.
Yeah,
so
likewise.
Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.